Hello, it is the Political Kid here today, and we're going to be talking about something that has become very evident since the last election. Also, I'm collaborating with Monsieur Z, and if you haven't subscribed to him, I highly recommend his content, and for you to subscribe to his channel. But anyway, let's talk about the future of American presidential elections. Over the years of elections and politics in general, there have been many landslides, from Washington to Lincoln to FDR and Ronald Reagan. Their presidential history has been positive, not just from our view on them now, but the views of those who supported them back then. This has definitely changed since the 90s, as many presidents didn't have major support from both parties during their whole presidencies. More elections are becoming more divided as presidents since the 90s, presidential candidates hadn't been able to gain over 55% of the vote or more than 370 electoral votes. However, more and more people are voting based on their perspective of the nation and who they feel will unite the nation behind an agenda protecting Americans. This has become more evident in the last election, as many moderate Democrats who didn't support Trump's policies still voted for him based on what happened under Biden's administration and how Trump's campaign didn't divide the nation as much as Harris did. The amount of aggression that had come from Democrats could heavily inspire future politicians to be more optimistic, positive, and unified about their policies and actions as they would learn from this election. However, if Democrats do not learn from their mistakes, it could lead to more Republican policies being enforced for the next couple of years. This will lead to a more unified era, as more popular figures within politics will make Americans more and more trustworthy of their political leaders, so they could be less worried about them and work more in their personal lives. If you look at figures like Reagan, Kennedy, Roosevelt, more Americans, even people on the other sides of the political spectrum, supported them to make certain decisions, and that would help lead the country into more prosperous era. This is mainly due to the fact that, one, their opposition was unpopular due to economic troubles beforehand. Two, many moderates supported them due to their certain decisions. Three, there were bigger issues abroad that unified Americans in defeating their enemies rather than focusing on politics. With its benefit of stability, it does, however, come with a few consequences. One, presidents could overestimate their support and make decisions that are only supported by an extreme part of their party. Two, spending could be overlooked on its efficiency, especially in the military. Three, there could be a huge mandate for a president. However, if there is a crisis, political changes could mess up economic stability for a bit. Like an example is Herbert Hoover, who had major support before the Great Depression, and Grover Cleveland, who also had major support before a recession during his first term due to tariffs. However, considering the rarity of this situation and the benefits kind of overshadowing its rare consequences, it has shown the landslides and positive and unified candidates and presidents would help our country and our people. Because of Trump's bigger than expected win, there is much chance for our politicians to learn from this experience, to leave old candidates from another time, to be more unified with a coalition of a range of voters, and to have skilled leadership would help our country with no doubt. But for now, let me hand it to my good old guy, Monsieur Z.
Thanks, Political Kid. Hello, everyone. Mr. Z here. If you're not familiar with me, I'm a YouTuber who makes history. Yep, that's right. I make history. I'm a historian. I discuss political science and geopolitics every now and then. As Political Kid was saying, we are sort of entering this new era, and it could be an era of stability and prosperity insofar as political polarization is concerned. If you've seen my channel, I have a series called The Seven Ages of America where I talk about how across American history there are periods where one party or ideology tends to dominate for a prolonged period of time. Now, for a while, we have been in a period of general neoliberal dominance. Whether it was the Democratic Party or Republican Party did not matter. You had this ideology transcending both parties. But now Trump comes in and shakes things up, and this was a little complicated by what happened in 2020, where you had this shift toward Biden, but even then, you had some consistent features between Trump's administration and Biden's administration, which was this increased use of executive authority, this investment in American autonomy and self-sufficiency. Both Trump and Biden were saying, hey, we need to invest more in our infrastructure. We need to bring more manufacturing back here to the United States. This became a cross-party position. Now, the interesting thing as well, if we're looking forward to 2028, there is a potential. I won't say that it's 100% in the Republican bag right now, but things are very, very good for the Republicans insofar as Trump being able to maintain control. Even if the Democrats were able to win, they would probably only be able to do so by adopting a good deal of Trump's policy positions. And this is something inevitably that's going to happen. The Trump-style America First ideology, or maybe not the Trump style, but America First ideology in general, is going to transcend both parties. There was a survey done recently, I believe it was by CNN. Who do you think, they were asking Democrats, who do you think represents the Democratic Party best? Number 1 was AOC. Number 2, I believe, was Kamala Harris, and number 3 was Bernie Sanders. 2 of those 3 figures, hardcore on the progressive policy. What was it that Bernie Sanders said when he was running in 2016? He was saying, look, we need to cut back on illegal immigration and immigration in general, because if you have people coming from outside the country, that's less jobs for American workers. The very liberal style policy of open borders and free migration, it's not reconcilable with progressive style pro-labor politics. And mind you, Kamala Harris was second place on that list, but Kamala Harris kind of represents this holdover of neoliberalism. She doesn't really have much ideology, if we can be completely clear. She is whatever the establishment of the Democratic Party wants her to be. Now, the Democrats, going into 2026 and 2028, they might be a little scared, and they might say, well, we gotta play it safe, we have to put someone moderate in there, and, well, if they go moderate, then they'll have to go with some less woke, less liberal, more socially conservative figures. Maybe somebody like Josh Shapiro from Pennsylvania. But if they go hardcore on the economic left-wingism, well, then they can drop a lot of the stuff that was unpopular. They don't have to go hardcore on LGBT policy. They don't have to go hardcore on DEI policy. What they'll go hardcore on is, hey, we want free college. We want universal health care. We want X, Y, and Z. Stuff that appeals more to the younger generation of Democrats. Because when you ask the younger Democrats what they care about, sure, a lot of this socially liberal stuff is important to them, but they care more about the economic policies that's affecting how they live their lives. I would say that no matter how you slice it, this era that we're in, and that we're going to be going through probably for the next decade or two, is going to be more defined by an inward focus on the United States, and you're going to see it transcend both parties.